Alright, all you maggots. Today we're going to be reviewing Slipknot's sixth studio album, We Are Not Your Kind. This is their sixth one since their debut in 1999, which was immediately followed by their second album, Iowa, which is undoubtedly most people's favorite Slipknot album and is without a doubt their hardest. Now, leading up to this newest release, I know we've had a bit of controversy due to Chris Faines having to leave Slipknot because of his choice to sue the band over what he thought he was owed in royalties, whether or not that was right. Leave that in the comments. Let me know what you think about all that. And then back in May, we had Sean Cran's, better known as Clown's daughter, who passed away. And apparently Corey's gone through a divorce, so the band's had their share of ups and downs leading up to this album. Now, what I'd like to start off with is what I liked about this album, because there was more than a few things that I didn't fully enjoy. Now, I will say that when I first listened to the album, I wasn't fully impressed. And as a matter of fact, I really didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I was going to. But the more I listened to it, the more it's grown on me. You've got quite a few heavy-hitting songs that just are reminiscent of what Slipknot is really known for. They really haven't lost their sound. Just like Killswitch Engage, they're 20 years deep, and here they are still going strong. So I will say that the album is really growing on me, and the more I listen to it, the more I'm really enjoying it. Now we start off with Insert Coin, which is just your basic intro, and I love when bands do this where they have an intro going into an album, and in this case it really bookends the album where they revisit what happens in this minute and a half intro back in Solway Firth at the end of the album, and we'll get into that later. And then we go into Unsainted, which was technically the second single that they released leading up to this album. The first one was released last year, All Out Life, but it was not released on this album, but it is on the Japanese release. And then we go into Birth of the Cruel, and this is a pretty heavy song. Again, very enjoyable. Really no complaints. Now we move into Death Because of Death, and it really just seems like a filler song that, I guess it really adds complexity or layers to the album, so you're not just going from one hard hitter to the next. So it gives the album the ability to breathe a little bit. So, that being said, it's one of those that I'd probably skip listening to the album all the way through. But then we go into Nero Forte. This is without a doubt the hardest hitting song on the album, and my favorite by far. I really enjoy when they come out swinging and they go back to this song really is worthy of Iowa Heavy, which is what Corey really felt this album portrayed. Was they were kind of going back to their roots. Now I don't know that they went completely back to the Iowa Heavy, but you can't really expect a band that's been doing this for 20 years to replicate an album that they did so early in their career. So I really enjoyed the fact that it was a bit experimental. I love when bands grow and try new things, especially when they work. And there was more than a few things in here that worked, and there's a few things that I felt didn't. The next we go into Critical Darling. Not a terrible song, but again, it's one of their more hard-hitting songs, so can't really complain about it there. Now, Liar's Funeral, I've heard a lot of complaints about this song, with it being very Stone Sour-esque, and people not really gravitating to it because it really kind of sounds more like what Corey Taylor was doing in Stone Sour. Now, the funny part about that is Corey Taylor's first band before he was in Slipknot was Stone Sour with Jim Root, and Jim Root joined the band after Corey, after they lost their original guitarist. So it's a bit ironic that people don't like the Stone Sour sound, being that that's exactly where Corey came from. And I feel like it was a little bit maybe forced, the sound that they went for. Now they've been known to throw a lot of heavy hitters in an album and then throw a slow one in there every now and then. And this is one of those that has a pretty good build up, and it really builds up to a great open chorus. So this is one of those songs that I was one of them. I really didn't think that this was Slipknot worthy, and the more I listened to it, it's definitely growing on me, and it's becoming one of my more favorite songs on the album. So, really, I'm really starting to enjoy this album more and more. Like I said, Red Flag's another one of those that are it just comes out swinging. Great song. Now, What's Next is just another one of those minute-long filler songs that just adds a little bit more flavor to the album, and again lets the album breathe. Now, then we move into Spiders. Now, this is probably the song that I thought was the weakest on the album. I feel like it just kind of sat in one spot and really didn't go very far. It just it was very monotone, and I just think it fell flat. And really, Spiders, Orphan, and My Pain, there's a little area here that I think that the album was at its weakest. Now, Orphan is beginning to grow on me. At the beginning, I really didn't like it. I thought the hook really fell flat, but again, the more I'm listening to it, the more I'm, catching on to it. And it's, Orphan's one of those that'll get stuck in your head eventually if you listen to it enough. For me, it wasn't one of those that immediately just kind of stuck to you. I've really had to go back to it, and I've had to listen to the album a couple times to really get into it. Usually when I listen to an album, either I like it or I don't, and I stick to it, and this is one of those that's just growing on me. So kudos to them. It almost never happens. And then we have so I'll go back to My Pain. My Pain has this sort of dark lullaby feel to it that I have to be in the right mood to listen to. It's just one of those weird, haunting tunes that it wasn't one of my favorites on the album. And then we go into Not Long for This World. Again, this little area here at the end, I felt like it fell short. Not Long for This World was one of those that it was okay, but I feel like it could have been a lot better. And they end with a really high note. Solway Firth, fantastic song. It's one of those that you can replay over and over again. It just does not get old. Now, all that being said, this album has quite a few great songs. It's a solid album. Is it Iowa levels heavy? I can't give it that. It's definitely not the Gray Chapter. Thank God they went in a different direction, and it seems like they're heading in a better direction than the Gray Chapter. So hopefully this isn't their last venture and they keep growing off of that. So all in all, I'm enjoying the album more and more. It's up there as one of the better albums. Iowa's still going to be, the pinnacle. Maybe not the pinnacle. Hopefully they come out with something that just blows everybody's socks off. And All Hope Is Gone was one that charted #1 when it debuted in the top 200 in the Billboard 200. We don't see that very often with the metal band coming out with an album and it charting at #1. They've sold 30 million records worldwide, so they're doing something right. So not knocking them. I think it's a solid album. It's good to see a lot of metal bands coming out within this month with great new albums. So kudos to them. Really enjoy the album. So in the comments, let me know what's your favorite songs off the album. Do you like the album? Do you not? How do you feel about their new direction? Do you enjoy their experimentation and the direction that they're going? If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. Peace.